I want to talk to you about this extremely cursed book, Propaganda. It was written by Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He applied his uncle's psychological theories to media and advertising. This man created modern PR. This man rebranded manipulation itself. He preferred to be called a PR expert instead of what he was, which was a state propagandist. He worked for the US government, he worked for corporations including Big Tobacco, and he even worked for dictators and the CIA. Scrupulous, pure evil. That's why I don't keep this with the rest of my books. I keep this in my kitchen because I think it's bad voodoo. The only reason I own the book is because I believe you need to understand your enemy. In the 1920s, women smoking cigarettes was they didn't do that. But Big Tobacco wanted more money. So they hired Bernays to break that stigma and double their market. He staged a fake feminist protest. He hired women to march in this parade, smoking cigarettes and calling them torches of freedom. He made torches of freedom a symbol of women's liberation. He sold cigarettes as empowerment. The birth of activism was advertising disguised as activism. Bernays also worked for the US Committee on Public Information to sell America's entry into World War I to the public. His campaigns used nationalism, fear, and repetition. He created the slogan for the war, "Make the world safe for democracy." And press narratives were controlled to make the war seem inevitable. Again, in World War II, he helped sell the war to the American people using the villain-hero narratives so that it was Hitler versus freedom. Mass media, film, and newsreels were used to drive public support. And then after the war, the same tactics were used to refine Cold War propaganda. They are still used today in modern war narrative. Iraq, Ukraine, all have media-driven support for the war. In 1954, United Fruit Company hired Bernays to stop Guatemala's land reform, which was threatening their profit. Bernays created a fake communist threat campaign in American newspapers. This led to a US-backed coup in Guatemala, where the Guatemalan president was overthrown and replaced with a US-backed dictator. This was some of the earliest examples of corporate imperialism being disguised as protecting democracy, and it became a standard CIA tactic, which they later used in Chile and Iran. It was one of the first major US media-driven coups, a blueprint for future foreign intervention. Bernays' playbook goes as follows. Step 1. Manufacture a crisis. Create a problem. Women are oppressed. This must be because they don't smoke. And then offer a solution. Present your product or your political action as the only answer. Torches of freedom, buy cigarettes. You gotta make it feel organic. If you can disguise your PR as a grassroots movement, think feminist protest, news article, scientific study, then double down and just repeat the narrative into the ground, over and over and over. Bernays did not invent PR, but he did invent how people are manipulated without realizing it. And his methods still run the world today.